Hello, happy Monday, beautiful friends. I am happy to be tuning in with you guys this week. I've got so much going on in my own mind and so many thoughts that I want to share with you guys. I've been taking lots of notes after my coaching sessions with my clients just to see if I can find similar subjects of conversation, similar issues that my clients are struggling with. And two have struck me over the past few weeks. The first one is this feeling of being neglected, and it comes hand in hand with feeling overwhelmed, where you begin to feel like you've got really no energy left to give anything to anybody. And you're feeling so depleted that you begin to feel neglected and you begin to look for who is neglecting you. And often those tend to be the closest people to us that we point the finger at. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about today, how to refill your cup. And then this other idea of finding the sweet spot in between being easygoing but also having high standards of, living and work routine and just boundaries and relationships. So like this duality that we might have sometimes in our mind where we're like, I'm either really easygoing or I'm really strict, and not really understanding where the in-between is. Now, I might be talking myself into two episodes, and maybe this is just going to be part one of two because these are two big subjects, but I'm going to give it my best. That's what I want to talk about today. So welcome you guys to another episode of Be the CEO of Your Own Life. I am truly thrilled that today we're talking about this art of refilling our cups. And here's a caveat that I want to give you about my thinking. I want you to learn the art of refilling your cup on a daily basis, not when you're so depleted that you have to refill it, like most of us do, not once every 6 months as part of your overall well-being plan, but on a daily basis. What would refilling your cup on a daily basis look like? Listen, I am a mom, I am a business owner, I am a wife, and I am an active person in the community, and I have multiple interests, I have friends. I know life can get hectic, and I know often it's just so easy to find ourselves feeling drained and empty and like we have no time for anything. I asked an executive today, looking at her in the eyes, and I said, do you have the time to rebuild your confidence that according to her had just been snapped by a previous employer? And she looked at me dead in the eye and said, no, I don't have time. I know that feels like her truth to her, that if you don't have the time to do something that is of incredible importance to yourself, to your well-being, to your career, to you as a human, then what are you spending your time on? What is taking your time, right? So sometimes we just rather wait until we hit rock bottom to take action. And this episode is to wake you up to not do that, to not be one of the executives that comes to me, or the moms or the women who come to me when they feel that they have hit rock bottom. Also come to me if you're there. Don't let that discourage you. But please, let's get into the habit of taking care of ourselves on a regular basis so that there is no rock bottom to hit. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, I want you to picture this. Picture you wake up in the morning feeling energized and ready to take on the day. There might be even a glimpse of gratitude. You're just so happy in your body. You feel rested, you look around, and in my particular case, I see my husband probably still sleeping. I wake up like 2-3 hours before he does, and you can see like other people in your home. Maybe I see my child, I can hear my dog snore, even though she's like a floor down. She snores so hard I can hear her. I want you to picture that, but in your life, whatever that is for you. But as the hours of the day pass, you start to notice that your energy is slowly depleting. Somebody has said mom one too many times. Somebody's asked you where the socks are once too many times. Somebody else has sent you an email saying, I need this by yesterday. Your parents called you to tell you, don't forget to help us with the bank account whenever you're ready. Your friend reminded you that it's so-and-so's birthday and you guys have to pitch in for the gift. And although these are daily things that you've been able to handle them a million times before, on this particular day, it's just starting to feel like too much. Does that sound familiar to you? I bet it does. We've all been there. And I think it's essential to recognize that self-care is not a one-time event, and that feeling depleted, it's not normal either. Okay. I think that we've normalized that depletion. We talk amongst friends and we say, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I had a week. And then the other person ups it up. Oh, I'm exhausted too. And I probably had it worse than you. And we kind of all come together to a conclusion that it is normal to be depleted on a regular basis. I tell you something very quickly and off, not entirely off subject, but one of my good friends. And I was thinking of this while I was gardening today, how lucky I am to have friends in which our source of conversation is not what happened on a TV show episode, because neither one of us watches TV. This particular friend, like actually most of my friends are as clueless as I am about TV programs. But one of my friends was telling me about this book she's reading, and I was telling her about this book she's reading. By the way, I'm not suggesting friends that watch TV are not cool and friends that read books are cooler. I'm just saying these type of friends help me fill my cup, okay? Because we have such exciting conversations. Okay, she asking me, this friend asked me, okay, Olga, so aside from working and being a mom, what else do you do? What do you do for fun? And she was not trying to quiz me, or like she didn't have an agenda when she asked me, but she's a woman of multiple hobbies and passions, and we're always talking about her new project. She's very artistic. And I was like, I go to the gym. And then I thought, well, that's not like, I mean, it is fun, but that's just like everybody goes to the gym. So what do I do for fun? I would still for fun choose to go to the gym. Like I have fun, but it sounded like that wasn't really what she was asking me. Well, unbeknown to her, I went off, like completely off the deep end with that question and thinking to myself, what do I do for fun? And you're catching me at the end tail of that self-reflection. And you guys have to understand something about me. I am deep in thought. Okay. I don't take things like the smallest of things can take me to such a deep level of reflection. I think is part of being a water sign, a Cancer, I don't know, or just being a hypersensitive human, but that's what I do. I grab something and I see it in so many different ways. So then I told my husband, like, I don't know what I do for fun. I know you play hockey. I know you go with the guys on Thursdays. I know you, like, I see my husband do so many things for fun, for the fun of it, but I can't answer to that question. So then he was asking, but what would you like to do? And I'm like, I can't answer to that either. And I was really puzzled. Guys, I took one full day. I told my husband, you pick up our son from daycare. I want to take the day. And I took the day and I went to so many hobby stores, and I was trying to visualize myself doing crochet, or I used to scrapbooking, and I loved it. It was like a creative outlet. I cannot tell you how many places I visited to see if I could picture myself there. And none of that was fulfilling to me. I'm like, no, I don't want to do crochet. And then what do I do with the things that I make? That just seems useless. Clearly for reproduction is important. Productivity is important. Anyways, long story to tell you that I landed to the most beautiful conclusion in my own, for myself, was that what I do for fun is this. For example, my podcast. This is a hobby of mine. Cost me money to do it, and it gives me nothing more than incredible pleasure. Also, my own business of coaching and writing and thinking of the best ways to coach people keep my creative juices like activated. I never feel bored ever one day or not fulfilled at my job. So I think that in my case, my job is a bit of a hobby actually that pays me, which is amazing. And then as I've been gardening, because we've had like the perfect amount of rain and sun this summer where the weeds are going crazy. Like I de-weed like every day and it feels like I don't de-weed at all. And as I was like, my hands are still dirty. I'm looking at them. And if you're looking at this video, they're black. I was looking at myself. I was there last night. I was there this morning. And basically any opportunity in between coaching calls after I put my son to bed, I go to the garden. And it brings me great joy. Like it does making my family, my child and my husband's supper or breakfast. Breakfast is my favorite thing to make. And I then realized, okay, you know what? It is not a grandiose one-time activity. It is all the little things that I already actively engage in that I do for fun. But I was so grateful at the question because I don't think that definitely that was not in my awareness that gardening gives me pleasure. So the last few days, now that I've noticed like, oh, this is one of my great sources of joy, I've been more intentional about doing it. And even when I'm doing it, I'm enjoying it even more. I'm getting probably dirtier. I'm putting my knees, like digging them into the dirt, getting more into it because that's my hobby at the moment. I also like golfing and I go golfing and I play tennis, but I don't do it enough to say that's what I do for fun. You know, those are fun things that I do, but I can't say that that's what I do for fun. So that whole story, just to bring you back to the importance of paying even attention to how you refill your cup. And I think there's two kinds of humans in this world, those who have done this kind of work and then burn out like myself. And then we realize it cannot be something that you do once a year, but actually something that is done every day. And then the people who absolutely wait to hit rock button to do something about themselves, to give finally themselves the time or the money to invest in your passions or in your mental health or in your physical well-being. So let's talk about the power of small daily rituals. And again, I'm going to use myself as an example. This is all I've got, me. Do not use me as a model. Use me as just maybe one of the hundreds of possibilities. I don't want you guys ever to listen to this podcast to be a replica of me, of what the people I invite into the podcast to be yourself, to use this information and see how does that, kind of coordinates with who you are, how you want to go about your own life. So I want you to think of these little drops of self-love that you can sprinkle throughout the day. It could be as simple as taking a few deep inhales before starting your work, or savoring your morning coffee mindfully, or spending a few minutes in nature during your lunch break, listening to birds. Those moments of presence and mindfulness can do wonders to refill your cup. Do not underestimate them. I coach mostly overwhelmed women who can't remember the last time they took an hour lunch break or sat down at the table at the same time as their family to eat and not just be doing all the other things. And you know what? I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I hear my husband say like, sit down to eat. And I'm like, yes, but let me just bring you guys one more thing, right? So it is powerful, the small things. And if you are like me, who used to think like grandiose things are better, I just really want you to think about, nope, that's not better. That's in fact, it's good, but it's not as better as daily, little tasks that you do intentionally, knowing that they're going to bring you great, maybe not even great pleasure, but pleasure. Like sitting down with my coffee, like I did this morning in a quiet house for, 5 minutes before I had to come back to work. I cherish those moments. It doesn't take much. My cup literally feels refilled by doing so. And I also want us to talk about self-compassion. I don't think we can go about refilling our cup without the element of self-compassion. I might sound like a broken record here in the podcast or in my coaching calls, because I'm always reminding people to just give themselves a lot of compassion, grace. We tend to be so hard on ourselves. Like we are our hardest critics, but it is time to flip that script. Be gentle with yourself, just like you would with a dear friend or with your children. Allow yourself to acknowledge that it is okay to not have it all together all the time, and embrace your imperfections and understand that self-care is not selfish, but it is a necessity. And here's something that I want you to think about. I've thought about this forever. You know what the greatest gift that my parents have given me? Taking care of themselves. Actually taking self-care seriously, because they're now 76 years old and they're healthy and they're independent. They're like in great weight, in great mental health, in great physical health. And that's because they've taken all the steps throughout their lives to take breaks when they need to take vitamins when they need to go to the doctor when they need to, or think ahead of time. Like much of their lifestyle has been thought about for a long time and exercised upon. So when I think about the gift that I'm giving my child and my husband and my clients by taking care of myself, I don't even have a glimpse of guilt about spending time or money that is just for me. I have zero guilt going on vacation all by myself without my family. I have zero bad feelings with my husband for doing the same. It's just so important to not think of self-care as a selfish thing, but as a necessity. I welcome you to start thinking of it this way. If you're still holding yourself guilty for taking time to yourself or spending money on you and not your family, think again. What is the side effect of you spending time and money and having the guilt-free life? And how does that impact the people you love most? Of course, we can talk about how to refill your cup without talking about self-compassion, the small little rituals, and boundaries. All of you have so much resistance about boundaries. And I don't know all of you, but my clients normally have a lot of resistance towards boundaries. They're like, oh no, now you're going to make me be mean. You're going to make me say no. I don't know how to say no to a manager. I don't know how to say I can't. I don't have time. This is too much at my fast-paced job. I know it's easier said than done, but trust me, it's a game changer when you learn to say no guilt-free when your plate is full. The reason you feel guilty to say no when you do say no currently is because your cup is empty. So your plate is full of work and you're still taking on more because they ask you and you feel obligated to say yes. Let that serve you as a signal that your cup is empty and you feel that you gotta continue to withdraw from the bank. So if your body was bank and you were borrowing money to everybody who needed something from you and you never got paid ever, how successful would this bank be? It will go broke, which is when you guys say my cup is empty because you haven't done the payback. What is the payback? Here's the biggest mistake I hear my clients make. Somebody else has to refill my cup, whether that's my employer, my manager by saying, good job, my husband by telling me, you look tired, looks like your cup is full. Let me do all the housework or caring for children. Your friends, I hope my friends reach out to me now that I'm having a difficult time, even though they have no clue I am. Make sure you make time in your day for yourself, whether it's reading 2 pages from a book, dancing like nobody's watching in the shower, having a longer shower. Hey, when my baby was really little and I had so much anxiety about everybody and everything, I still needed to have time by myself and self-care. And you know what that looked like? My clients used to love 2 showers a day. I was in the shower twice a day, and that felt refueling. I would put essential oils on my diffuser. I would grab all like my body scrub, like nothing, music or nothing, but I just sit there and just be by myself for a moment. And that used to fill up my cup. So it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to leave your home if you don't want to, but do make sure that you take the time for yourself, whether that is, like I said, to take a shower, to read a book, or to have quiet time to reflect. Those moments will help you stay connected to your inner self. And that's how you recharge your spirit. You start feeling neglected because your inner self is like, is she not listening to me? I've been telling her for a long time that we've got enough on our plate. I can't believe she said yes again when she remembered this morning how exhausted she was. So your inner self starts feeling neglected, and overall you feel neglected. And that's when we make the mistake of pointing the finger and tell others, hey, you're neglecting me. I need you to make me happy. I need you to make me healthy, doctor. I need you to give me times to separate home from work, employer. That's all on you. This is why this podcast is called Be the CEO of Your Own Life. Those are the hard decisions that as the CEOs of our lives, we have to make. So setting those healthy boundaries will help you recharge your spirit, connect to yourself. And because you're filling up your cup and that feels good, you will eventually not even feel a tiny bit guilty, but the opposite, thankful. Thankful that you can say no. That's what my clients are now telling me, and I love it. I have a client who's like so brilliant at work and she keeps getting assignments. And so we've been working heavily on boundaries. And the other day in one of our group calls, she shared as one of her wins that she passed on to work. She was able to say no. And the caveat for her is that she's single and she doesn't have children. So she always feels that if she's asked, she should, because she doesn't have a husband at home or children to take care of. But all she had planned was a quiet weekend, and she took it. She's like, no. And I also don't need to over-explain. I can say no. And I can say without feeling guilty because I know I need this time. So that's the kind of stuff we celebrate in my coaching groups. All right. And here is the biggest one of them all for refilling your cup. You ready? Surround yourself with positivity. Spend time with people who lift you up, who inspire you, who support your growth. You know, the kind of people, like I'm about to see a good friend of mine who every time I leave meeting her, whether that's 5 minutes or an hour, I just feel a bit better about myself. I just love who I am in her presence. And I'm telling you, this is real story. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't. I can count them with one hand, my friends, but they're quality friendships. And each of these women and men, when I leave those meetings with them, or a phone call, I feel happy, refilled. Like I really honestly, when I talk to my friends, I feel like, oh my God, just what my soul needed. Either because we laugh or because they're going to tell me about something interesting that they're doing or they're going to do or that they're dreaming about or that they're working on, or they're sharing a problem. And even that sounds interesting. I want to make sure that when I say surround yourself with positivity, I don't say people who don't feel feelings. Or like, I'm always happy. I share nothing with you. I have no problems. I'm saying the people that your mind and your body and your soul love, the feelings you have after you see them. And while you're with them, in the goods and in the bads, even when I'm supporting my friends through hard times, it feels good when I leave those meetings. So spend the time that you can with the people who lift you up and who inspire you. I personally like I love being the least intelligent person around my groups because I'm always so inspired to read one more book. One of my good friends just shared with me that she's reading this book by an African writer, and she is learning so much about a complete different culture to ours and how enlightened it's been, how interesting, and how she got to it because she's Colombian too, but she lives in Chile, and she's read, Japanese authors, she's read French and German and Italian, and then she thought, hey, I haven't read about this and I want to. And she was telling me all these details, and I was so fascinated. I'm like, send me that title, something I never thought of in my own, literature expansion. But talking to a friend just lit that up, and I'm like, yeah, I want to read the same book. So remember that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely and really limit your exposure to people whose influences drain your energy. No, I said this to a client once when I told my husband, when I went out with friends, and if I came back and I had the need to vent about my friends, they were no longer my friends. It's just not how I want to spend my limited hours I do have to socialize with people that don't make me feel like, I love that time with them. No, I feel that I've come to a time in my life where I get to choose and enjoy those opportunities. So just remember that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are those people? Lastly, let's talk about self-discovery. What is that self-discovery? I call it self-awareness, really, and honestly, but it's kind of like discovering who you truly are. And making time to explore your passions, your interests, and your desires. This is what I was trying to do by visiting all the stores of hobbies and the libraries. I was like, oh my God, I think I went on a mission. And my friend was like, I didn't mean to put you on a mission. I'm like, no, I'm so happy you did. That simple question just brought me, I went to all the magazine sections to just look at magazines. And then I realized I love writing. Like I wrote all of this episode, right? Like I love writing. I do that on a weekly basis. No wonder my cup feels full. And I don't feel the need to have an outside hobby other than my work. So I love it. So what is self-discovery or self-awareness? It's just making that time to explore your passions, to read books, to take courses, to attend workshops, to listen to podcasts like this one, wink, wink, engage in activities that really just fire up your soul and make you feel alive. One of the things I always say after a yoga class is I feel so alive. And that's how I know it's a good thing for me to do, because I want to feel alive. I want to do those activities that remind me I'm alive. I recently went to, I think I told you guys already in this podcast, not this episode, but in a previous one, with my husband. I went to the Blues Fest here in Ottawa, which is a big music festival. And I told my husband at the end of that concert, going to those events with music, with people, you're standing, you're drinking, it's just life-giving. Now, they don't happen every day. They happen once a year in our city. Well, we make a point to go once a year to at least one of the concerts because it is life-giving. Refilling your cup is giving you life, is igniting back the spark for life, the life you're here to live. This life is not supposed to just be obligations. And even your obligations, do them with love and see how that changes. So take courses, workshops on interest. Like I've always wanted to learn Italian. I promise you I will right after I learn French because my husband will kill me. What are these interests that you've had that you're like, ooh, I don't know how I'll do that? Engage in activities that really just make your soul happy. And when you align your authentic self, you will find that your cup is overflowing with fulfillment. And that's where it's at, my friends. That's where life is at. So the second part that I wanted to address, let me see, how long have we been here? Yeah, I think I'm going to address that one on another episode because we're at 30 minutes and I know you guys are busy and you got places to go and people to see. So I'm going to wrap it up here. But stay tuned for part 2 on finding that sweet balance between being strict and easygoing. What does that look like? How do you even begin to think about that? So I hope you've enjoyed these ideas and how to refill your cup on a daily basis. And I hope you become a woman that does not wait to hit rock bottom to start prioritizing self-care and just really seeing it as a gift to others, but especially to yourself. We only have one life. Like, why suffer through it? And so remember, all my lovely listeners, that you are worthy of of love and care and joy every single day, not just when you are super drained. So let's commit to filling up our cups regularly, not just when we're feeling really empty. And as always, if you found value in today's episodes, please share it with somebody else, friends and family, anybody else who needs to hear this. And don't forget to leave me a brief review. And if you're new to listening to the podcast, subscribe so you never miss one. It really does mean the world to me. So thank you for tuning in today. And until next time, take care of yourself, keep refilling that cup, and remember, you are the CEO of your own life. Talk to you guys soon.